In the past, sometimes your team has had a lot of success on the road, or it seems like it's been able to focus better on the road. Is this a good time for the team to head to the road?
I don't know. There's not good time or bad time. We just have to worry about steady improvement, and then, but we're excited about the challenge Boise presents, and it's a place that's gotten kind of well known to play, because of some of their success. So we're looking forward to having the opportunity to go there.
It's a lot of the success was built under a couple different coaches, but what have you admired about their program?
A lot of different coaches. The one that I remember first was Pokey Allen. So yeah, they've had a lot of different coaches. Really, it's kind of been the same. Sometimes those guys do well at Boise. Some of those guys, I'm sure, wish they'd stayed there. But I think part of it is the community's real committed to football and excited about it, and if you think about it, on some level, they've always been successful.
You expecting a pretty hostile environment on Saturday?
I don't know. I mean, compared to what? There's a point to where it's just noise, except at Stanford, it's quiet, but, it's, I don't think I'm going to get shot or anything.
And the time you spent with your team since the game, have you seen indicators of steady improvement?
Yeah. We're a team that works extremely hard and, need to relax and do what we can do. And sometimes, that's the biggest thing that we do is we're conscientious to the point where we want to do things perfect. So, and the other teams are battling this time of year too, so.
Coach, what have you said to your team about just moving on from Saturday and moving forward?
That's about it. Just focus on individual plays. That's the single biggest thing. Focus on individual plays and get the most out of that, and then, and have the discipline to do it all over and over again. And, because we're a team that can do some explosive things, but, we're also a team that needs to be consistent and really embrace the value of an individual play, each play, one play at a time.
Looking back at the film, what were your biggest concerns with the game?
Well, we pretty well moved forward, but I think, hesitation would be, if you were to summarize one word, it'd be hesitation. I think we were hesitant on defense. I thought we came out of it on offense, but, that's the single biggest thing. And, you can't hesitate, and so we have to focus on that.
What do you know about Brett Rippon, Boise State's quarterback? And I believe that you saw him a little bit when he was in high school being recruited. Just his emergence there as the QB.
Yeah, good, efficient player. It didn't surprise me that he'd eventually start there. He's just kind of a good, efficient player.
Would you evaluate Luke's performance on Saturday? Did you think that he was hesitant at all at times?
A little bit. I thought overall he played a good game. I've seen him play better too, which, because collectively, everybody together is, that's the thing. It's hard to just slice one guy off and pinpoint. You can say whether the guy played good or bad, but then a guy can play better and it'll elevate if everybody's playing together well,
Was there anything you noticed coming out of the second half that might have contributed to the offensive struggles to stay on the field consistently there in the third quarter?
Well, the first, we didn't start either half very well. We didn't start either half well. And then we didn't get them off the field was the biggest thing. We only had 2 possessions, so.
Anything you want to see more of from your defense going forward?
Don't hesitate.
Any questions on the line for Coach Leach?
Hey, my good stuff. Why do you think it was that the team played with that hesitance and that hesitation?
Well, I think all teams to a point have a tendency to early in the season. But I thought that they did a real good job of not to. And I think, and I've been on both sides of this, they come by it honestly from the standpoint that you know, they're not operating under the same expectations we are. That's no excuse for us. I mean, we have to have the discipline just to focus and play our game. But, you know, from there, we're moving forwards. I mean, we're pretty well directed forward and worrying about the next play this week, so.
Do you feel like your team is also trying to learn how to play under expectations that maybe weren't there in the last 2 seasons before you had that good year?
Possibly, because, you know, as a program, we're definitely emerging. I mean, we haven't had, we're not a program that's had success year after year after year. And I think that the opportunity to build that, I mean, that's part of the challenge, I think.
How do you help a team sort of play with expectations? Is there anything that as a coach you can do other than tell them to take it one game at a time?
Just have the discipline to just focus one play at a time, you know. In other words, basically have the discipline to ignore all the big picture questions that the media and other asks, and have the discipline just to know that it's a byproduct of a lot of little parts. You know, it's a byproduct of a bunch of plays together, and having, you know, the discipline to just focus on that and do it collectively, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, shoot.
Other questions on the line for Coach?
Yes, Coach, please, Bob Beeler from the Bronco.
You guys have to take turns.
Okay. Go ahead.
Stuff all over my face. All right, go ahead.
Coach, Bob Beeler from the Bronco Radio Network. You've worked with a lot of great quarterbacks in your time. Can you kind of compare Falk and Rippon and describe where you think their strengths are, how they're similar, how they're different?
I think they're pretty similar, you know. I spend more time looking at Falk than I do Rippon. Both are accurate. You know, I wish I could tell you I knew more about Rippon. Rippon has good, efficient feet, and I think Falk does too. Falk's taller, so I'm going to assume he can probably eat a little bit more. I don't, you know, I mean, I think they both do a good job running their unit, you know. And I think both cases that's kind of where the offensive effort starts, you know.
When you look at the Boise State offense, Coach, what do you think is the greatest challenge in trying to slow them down?
I think the biggest thing is they try to keep you off balance. I think, you know, I mean, the simple answer is don't get off balance. I mean, they're going to try to do things to get you off balance. It's in and of itself, it's not terribly complex, but they're good at executing it, and they try to cloud it up with shifts and motions.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, Matt called from the Seattle Times. How much value is there in losing a game early like that, and you know, maybe waking the guys up? Is that a real thing in your experience? Have you seen an upset loss like that actually be a blessing in disguise down the road?
I've never viewed any value in it, really. I think the ability to learn from each game is an important one. I think that sometimes, you know, if you lose, there's a higher motivation to learn, and sometimes it can draw the focus to things a little better. But that's, you know, you should be, yeah, I mean, even though it may be easier said than done, you should be inclined to do that anyway. You know, you should, because, you know, teams improve the most the first 3 games, and no matter who you are, no matter how many you won by, there will be huge improvement from the first game to the second, and the second to the third, and it's important that we get all that improvement. You know, as far as your level of play and what you can improve on, I think you have to be very committed to drawing from that. Losing per se, I've never seen that as beneficial. You'd rather learn the lessons from winning. But I think no matter what, you do have to learn the lessons. I mean, and there's plenty there from winning, and sometimes that can cloud the motivation and how aggressive you learn those lessons. But there's plenty, especially in the first game. There's no team in the country that has a great first game. They might have a great result, but nobody in the country's got a great first game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions on the line for Coach Leach?
Coach, what is the,
Go ahead, Steph.
sorry, Coach, do you expect Luani to play this weekend?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions on the line?
Coach, Jay Southern Idaho Statesman here. We talked to Brett Rippon today. He said Washington State was his first offer, and I know, he's got the family connection. When you were recruiting him, what was that like? And did you get the feeling maybe that he didn't want to end up kind of spreading his wings and going somewhere else?
I mean, I don't have any special impression. I mean, we recruited a lot of quarterbacks, and he was one of them. You know, and we had a high opinion of him then, and we do now. But you know, as always, there's kind of a list of them, and he was on the list. So, and you know, we were impressed with some of his skills.
In your quarterback, why does Luke fit, you know, your system so well, and what's made him kind of special and maybe different from some of the quarterbacks you've had in the past?
He does a good job of elevating the players around him. He's a tireless worker. I mean, very focused. He's accurate. He makes good decisions. Has pretty good feet in the pocket, which I think he's definitely improved on. I thought he had decent feet before. A lot of it's just the decision of where to be when. I think he's improved on that. And then, you know, and I think he continues to get better.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the line for Coach?
Mike, the fact that you just said Shalom will play this weekend, are you
What I said.
confident in,
Shalom will play.
just based on, what have you seen from the police report that gives you that confidence to say that he's going to play?
I'm not going to share any of that, but suffice it to say, the facts as I know them, it's not near what's been publicized, and I'm very disappointed that the court of public opinion's been tainted and contaminated in the fashion it has, and at any rate, Shalom's relationship and our team, that'll remain with us.
Thank you.
Questions in the room for Coach Leach?
What does Shalom bring to your team as a leader that maybe you missed on Saturday?
Really a good established player, you know, just a good, solidly established player. He's got some experience too, you know, in our secondary. We got some good guys, you know, to play. They've done some good things in practice, that type of thing. But he's kind of one of the two guys that really stabilizes it, you know.
Student questions,
Any other questions for Coach?
Just from a big picture standpoint, when you're on the recruiting trail, you know, I think it's a bit low hanging fruit that a lot of people just make, you know, FCS, this is an FCS team, this is an FBS team. When you're out there, do you notice that some of these players now who are not being recruited maybe by Power 5 conferences, are deciding to go to really good FCS teams and sort of work their way up that way?
Oh, I think that's always happened. I think the upper level FCS teams, their first level guys are as good as ours, you know. I think that late in the season, that's where, you know, there becomes more of a difference because, you know, as people get beat up and injured, they're not as deep as we are. And then the other thing is there's a lot of quality guys that end up going there that, you know, for one reason or another, depth chart, bouncing back for a variety of reasons, end up going to those schools, you know, that could have gone a lot of places, but they end up going there, so.
You said earlier that your impression was that Luani was jumped by multiple people. Is that still your impression?
I'll leave that to Law. My impressions, I'm not going to share it, and I think that anything that's an ongoing investigation ought to be like that, but suffice it to say, I'm comfortable with any punishment we've issued, and don't plan to issue any more.
Okay, Lindsay?
Student question of the week, Labor Day themed barbecue two-parter. Number one, hot dog or hamburger, and number two, what are your favorite barbecue sides?
Shoot, I haven't celebrated Labor Day my entire life.
Pretend it's Memorial Day?
I know you guys really have Labor Day circled on the calendar every year and have all those big plans. I'll have to defer to you a little on that. As a matter of fact, as a kid, Labor Day was kind of a love-hate thing. You were glad you had Labor Day off, but school started the next day. See, we had a school that didn't basically go year-round and have holidays once a week. We went to a school that started, and then it went straight through until Christmas, and then it ended at some point, you know, but nowadays they don't do it that way. Yeah, Labor Day meant school started. And shoot, nowadays all these kids are excited when school starts. My kids were always excited when school starts. I don't recall sharing that emotion with school starting when I was a kid. And I don't know what the hell's wrong with kids nowadays either. But you know, summer ends, school start. Yeah, that's awesome, you know. Labor Day, definitely hamburger. I hate hot dogs. What was the other question?
The size.
There's not, what do you have, like a potato salad, I hate that. What else? There's
Beans.
Beans, it depends. Some people, you know, beans can be a work of art. Beans can, they can literally be a work of art and awesome, you know, somebody's recipe, or they can be Van Camp's out of the can. And I'll tell you one thing interesting, and I was stunned. The country of England loves Van Camp's pork and beans. Now, and you can look this up too. They serve with nearly every meal, in particular breakfast. You'll go to the buffet, Van Camp's pork and beans, and they're sitting right there, and I'm thinking, well, how can this be? You know, because pretty much you just had it at Cub Scout outings and things like that, you know. What is this? I mean, there, you know, and then lunch is kind of 50-50, but good chance you'll have some for lunch, you know. And then dinner, I mean, and so I asked the guy, I mean, I'm going all over England and have eaten it for days, you know. And I asked the guy, I said, and I love England, but you know, you don't see a lot of restaurants around this country that says English food, or hey, there's a new great English restaurant opening up. You don't see that because they're like my people, the Scandinavians. I mean, that's not what we do best, you know. I mean, Norwegian restaurant opening right up there, they don't have that. Okay, so and so I asked the guy, and I mean, because I'm sure that it's just got to be some cultural thing. This is a big English deal, you know. And he takes me to the cupboard, and sure enough, there's the same can in the grocery store in the U.S., Van Camp's pork and beans, somewhere in Wisconsin. And I'll tell you what, I mean, they've done a heck of a job marketing to England, and they eat them all the time. And but anyway, somebody's recipe, they make great barbecue beans. Those are better. I don't know, they have coleslaw, which is okay, I guess, you know. I don't know, you guys have...
Macaroni salad.
I don't care for the creamy stuff, you know.
I think you covered it.
All right.
Okay, last chance for Coach. Coach, what do you think of the blue turf?
I'm glad I don't have to watch film on it every day, you know, to be honest with you. I think that secretly those assistant coaches and those coaches at Boise, despite the fact it's a trademark thing, would rather watch their guys practice on grass, so the bodies, there's a little more contrast with them running around than on blue turf, and you know, I'd rather watch it on green than the variety of colors, and you know. I'm not sure about it, but I think we ought to look into that, you know, I think the animal watch groups and whatnot need to make sure they keep that covered so ducks don't break their necks trying to land on the sucker. That's what I think.